morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel L. Connon. Welcome to Premarket Info.
Lots of news here coming out. The S&P futures are choppy. Draghi is going to be giving comments at 8:30 Eastern. The Bank of England and the ECB have both left rates unchanged here this morning. We obviously have the unemployment data coming out tomorrow as well. So lots of news coming out. We've got earnings from Pay and Men's Warehouse. We've also got earnings warning from OCZ Technologies. And we're going to talk about some key resistance levels. We were down at support, now we're up at resistance, so we need to prepare our traders for these key resistance levels. Joel, what's the thoughts?
S&P's one tick below the close, 1403.50, and got a blast here. We got up to 1413 and a quarter. That's right up there against some major resistance at the 1412.50 level. So we'll be keeping an eye early in the session, 1412.50 up to that Globex high, 1413 and a quarter.
Yeah, once again that bottom seems to have held, but with so much news coming out, I think our traders need to be cognizant of both the support and the resistance. Obviously, the Draghi, whatever comments he says, could move the market in either direction, and obviously the unemployment data is going to be a big driver there tomorrow. So again, we'll reiterate to you, the market has found support, the S&P futures, in that 1395 area, and we have been kissing up here at resistance of 1413. If we start to take that out, the high of the move up there is 1424.75, so that would be another bogey to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, a few intermediate levels after that. 1416 is the 7-day high, and 1419 would be the 9-day high. But if this market is going to do anything true to form, we're kind of at the little top end of this range that we've been looking at. So test the resistance and come right back down.
Verifone announced earnings there last night. They gave a revenue warning. The earnings actually beat on an adjusted basis, but the revenue warning is what's knocking the stock down. 31.60 is where it's trading at right now after closing at 35.38. But this stock last night on the report, I believe, got under $30, did it not?
It did. 29.50 was the low after the announcement.
Wow, that was a little bit of an overshoot, but obviously investors weren't in love with it. If you go back to June, you had a bottom around 30.12 and 30.10 on 2 consecutive days. If the sell-off does continue in the regular session, maybe we find some support down in that area.
Oh, that's definitely going to be support. You're right. Going back to June, you had the 30.10 low, but even if you go back a little bit farther, August of 11, you bottomed at 30 and a quarter, and then a little bit above that level, I traded back in November 2010. So this 30 is huge. I mean, it got a huge bounce off it, got up to 32, traded back down to 31. 32 is major resistance, and 30 is major support.
Men's Warehouse also announced here earnings. They beat $1.15 against estimates of $1.12, and the stock is trading up substantially here in the pre-market. We had that huge gap down back in June, and we're getting all that back here this morning now, trading up at $35. I don't see much really until 36 here.
What did you do? Ditch the Lululemon yoga pants for a Men's Warehouse suit, or what?
I don't know. Maybe they. Well, I tell you, my wife does my shopping. Maybe she switched over to Men's Warehouse here. But $36. That's a. How high has it been in the pre-market?
35.20.
35.20
is when it. On a whopping 11,000 shares.
Yeah,
so,
not a lot of volume here, so this thing could probably go anywhere here. Always we cite that volume there when it's low like that. It's really hard to say. I mean, this stock is up $3-4 here in the pre-market on light volume, so really hard to say whether this move's sustainable or not.
35.26 was the high on June 5th. So we'll keep an eye. That corresponds with the pre-market high. Well, no, that's a little bit above that. 35.20, you had that level. So we will just keep an eye on that pre-market high at 35.20.
OCZ Technologies here has also announced a revenue warning. This stock absolutely getting killed here in the pre-markets, down 26% now, trading at $3.98 after closing at 536. So those that were picking bottoms here, 415, it's trading lower than that now. We got to go out to the weeklies. That was a key area though, that 415, 420, and we're trading below that.
Yeah, boy, this stock has traded some volume too. 312,000, nothing to sneeze at here. Uh, Looking at the pre-market activity, you have one of these formations where it's made it 395 low, just a few moments ago. Not really getting much of a bounce here, just kind of sitting here in the pre-market. Resistance is formed nicely here at the 420 level. So if you get a rally, look for sellers at that level. But as of right now, this doesn't show any. It kind of shows a little bit of a rounding bottom here. So you can use that 395 as minor support.
Walgreens here also actually announced same-store sales. I'll remove that trend line there. But announced same-store sales here this morning. A lot of stocks did it actually last Thursday, but some I guess are going to do it this Thursday. So Walgreens same-store sales were down, and the stock is trading 34.71 after closing at 35.88. So getting beat up here. I don't see a heck of a lot of support in here though, Joel.
You're looking at the pre-market activity. You did get a low at 34.55. You're getting a slight bounce off of that. 35 was acting as support. Now it will be resistance. You got a scary area here. You had that low at 33.60 on July 23rd, and that was after a huge gap up from a little over the $31 level. So danger. You're getting in the danger zone here once the stock gets below 33.60. That's still a buck away. But that's what we're looking for on the downside.
But I'm looking at this 35.08 low that it's set back there just from 4 trading sessions ago, and we are trading below that now. And we had such a run up really from that 34 area up to 36 there in 3 or 4 sessions in late July. We know when they run up quickly, they can come down quickly. I don't see a heck of a lot between 35.08. We're trading at 34.71 now until you get down to that 34 level. So I almost feel like there's another 70 cents of possible air here.
Yeah, and then on the down, after that too, you had that gap up. So
that's scary. Scary to be picking bottoms
there. A
lot
of air in Walgreens.
Yeah, a lot of air here, but hard to say on these stocks. They sometimes bounce around all over the place. AIG in the news here as well. They're selling their stake in AIA Group and going to use the proceeds to possibly buy back more stock. So selling some stock to buy back more of their own stock. Interesting scenario. Stock is trading down here 34.30 right now is where it's trading at after closing at 34.81. The stock was trading lower here a few minutes ago. It's starting to lift up. How low did it get?
Got to 34.06. Okay. Getting a little reprieve off that level, not much. This news was not taken well. Looking at yesterday's range, 34.40, we'll use that as minor resistance as well as the close at 34.81. Looking at support in this stock, if you can take out that pre-market low, you have major support at 33.51 to 33.65. Those were the lows on August 30th and August 31st.
Want to talk about a few of these banks here because they have been running up. Goldman Sachs had a great day yesterday, really took off. We were saying how it was consolidating and looking for an up move. I guess we got this one right because the stock took off yesterday, rallying almost $3 there yesterday, up to 109.94. Actually kissed the 110 just briefly there, but did close under the 110 at 109.94. But what a run for Goldman yesterday.
And who were those jokers that downgraded it on Tuesday? Do you remember?
No, I can't remember who downgraded it, but they look like they were wrong because the stock has just been taking off. Morgan Stanley, too, that stock's kind of moving up. Those two do usually track together, and Morgan Stanley is actually quietly making a 4-month high here.
Yeah, going back to the Goldman Sachs, finding good resistance here at the 110 level. Broke through it during the session. 110.28 has been the high in the pre-market. You have a cluster of highs here going back in May, you got up to 110.86, 110.90 was also a high. Let's call that whole area 111. If you're short in Goldman Sachs and this 110 handle, the low 110 handle, you're not going to find much cover till 111.
But here's an interesting one. So you've had a couple of them running up, but Citigroup here has just been consolidating. It is lifting here this morning, trading at $30 and has traded over $30, but really consolidating the last 3 or 4 days. Now, is this one going to start to break out as well?
Yeah, boy, for Citigroup, that's an incredibly a tight range there. 30.07 and 30.19 were the highs that you had from Friday and Tuesday. Looking at the pre-market activity, you have not even been able to get to that level. The highest you've got in the pre-market is 30.15. But I have to agree with you on this one. If this thing can get above 30.20, it's got some room to run up towards the $31 level.
And Wells Fargo, just to talk about another financial, it's sitting here just on its support here again, is lifting off. We've talked about this channel that Wells has been trading in for the last few weeks. On the upper end, it's been getting up to 34.25-ish. On the lower end, down at 33.75. So there's a 50-cent channel there that you've been able to play probably 3 or 4 times. We're bouncing off that again from yesterday here up at 33.94. Is this thing going to go up and kiss that 34.20 area again?
Man, this thing is just, there is someone bound and determined to get out of the stock in the 34 handle. 34.01 was yesterday's high. Look at that. That's minor resistance. Then you got another high at 34.13. So just, I don't know. This thing just hasn't been running. I think I'd be, more likely to play it from the downside if you could get a little sell-off off the open, come back towards that double bottom 33.73, 33.73 and 74 were the lows from Tuesday and Wednesday. I think I'd be a little more comfortable buying it on support as opposed to trying to buy this thing as it breaks out.
Apple too here had a heck of a run there yesterday. I had drawn a trend line here that kind of appeared to be broken, but maybe it's not, so we might have to actually adjust that trend line. But the stock here just hanging out here, had a pretty decent day 2 days ago, but then yesterday pulled back a little bit here, finding some resistance in the 675 area.
Yeah, it ran up on Tuesday, and then when the market was kind of flat yesterday, it was kind of weak, and now it's not really getting a big lift in the pre-market, at least according to fair value. As close as you're going to get to a double top in Apple, 675.14 to 676.35, so call that whole area 676. Above that, you have the all-time high at 680.87. But this stock is just not getting a lift as much as the S&P. So buyer beware. If it comes back down to the close, 670.11 or 669.70, Wednesday's low, you're probably looking at some lower risk entries on the buy side.
Microsoft here too I wanted to talk about. We've obviously talked about that 31 level multiple times, but it doesn't seem to be getting a lift here this morning either. Trading $30.41, so up only 2 cents on a day that the market's up 7.5. So Microsoft, not great relative strength here either. I think people are getting tired of this whole 31 level here that we've cited here multiple times. The stock looks tired here. The relative strength isn't great. Maybe the bounces are to be sold in this one.
This thing hasn't had any relative strength since like 2009. I mean, what's new? Now you're smack dab in the middle of the range. The highs have been coming down from that major 31 level, 30.96, topped out there multiple times. I'd be looking at perhaps short on this side between Wednesday's high, which was 30.53, and Tuesday's high at 30.66. You're also getting a cluster of lows here above the major support at 30.01, 30.02. You had Tuesday's low at 30.15. So, I mean, I could probably say it today and say it for the next 2 weeks. It's winding up for something here, and just can't seem to break above 31 or break below 30.
Talk about a stock. We talk about AT&T every day here, and the same range we continue to talk about here. It gets down into this 36.50 area, finds buyers. It gets up to this 37 area, finds sellers. It topped out again yesterday, just above the 37 area. It actually gave you a touch of it early in the morning. Would have gave you a 15, 17 cent trade if you were playing it perfectly. Stock got back up there, kissed 37, but I mean, we've kissed 37 a lot of times here now. Is it eventually going to take this level out?
Hey, I noticed some of the defensive stocks were overall pretty strong yesterday. I think the sellers are still going to be stacked between 37 and 37.05, which is the 5-day high. If, in fact, you can clear there, you do have some room up to the 37.27 to 32 level, which are some highs going back a couple weeks. Coming back on the downside, 36.70 was Wednesday's low. Someone stepped it up from that 36.50 level, but you still have to play it as a range until it kicks you in the teeth.
What other ones did you want to talk about? I know you had some highlighted there on resistance levels there, Joel. Which ones did you want to focus on?
Talking about some of the oils here, ExxonMobil getting a lift into the 3 and 4 day highs here, 87.73 and 87.85. Haven't traded much above that in the pre-market. 87.86 has been the high in the pre-market. So you got ExxonMobil opening into resistance. On the other flip side of things, with the Chevron Corporation, that bumped against the major support yesterday at 110.59, getting a little lift in the pre-market. You're going to find some minor resistance at yesterday's high, 111.73, and then 112.27, which is a 2-day high. But major resistance really doesn't start on that until the 113 handle. Looking at General Electric, I count that stock off for dead yesterday. And
it bounced up a little bit of life there still in GE.
Yeah, it bounced at double bottom, 2048, 2051. You got three highs between 2077 and 2083. Actually, three of the last four highs. Getting a bounce of a dime in the pre-market. So you're going to have some trouble in the lower 80s with General Electric. Another stock I'd like to highlight as far as resistance goes. You would have to been quick, but J&J got back up there in the high 67.
Wow, keeps kissing up there, to those high 67s every time it gets up there into those 67.90 area. Finds more sellers, got up to 67.87 there yesterday. Same thing again, just keeps getting up here. Look at the highs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times in the last month here. It's just kissed under 68. That whole 68 just major resistance for the stock now. I think you just got to keep playing these ranges like that. It's been range trading for the last 3 or 4 weeks here. It may continue here. Eventually we're going to get some news that probably drives us out of this range. But right now we're towards the upper end of it. Like looking at the market overall, you're kissing up into the upper end of this range now too. So depending on what Draghi says, depending on how the unemployment data comes out tomorrow, we can possibly move out of this range. But you keep playing it while it's in the range that way, you've been doing well.
So what Draghi, they're going to issue some more bonds to pay for debt that they're not going to be able to pay for in another year? Is that what they're doing?
Just kicking the can down the road. That's all they can really do. What other solution do you have? I don't know.
Who's gonna? Are you gonna buy the bonds? Are you gonna buy the Draghi bonds?
I'm still scared of everything over in Europe right now. So my money's not over in Europe. I'll tell you that. But I mean, the stocks, the European banks. You look at a few of those, and they still are coming around. They're moving up here again today. We've kind of bottomed there, and we have been moving up. The Barclays doesn't look as good, but the Deutsche Bank and the ING, those ones have had nice lifts here. So there is a little bit more confidence over there in Europe.
Yeah, well, I will say, even though I've won a couple of the individual bets on some of the stocks we've been talking about, Dennis, I really got to hand it to you. You have been a persistent little bull.
I've been a persistent little bull above 13.95. I've made a little money off of that level, and I don't know. I guess I continue to play it.
I know, and kudos to you and this market. It's now. I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna say, hey, we're forming
Uh-oh.
a major bottom here at 1400. We're going. I gotta. You know what? I can't wait till the 9:30 open so I can buy the 1500
I
calls.
better sell. I better sell everything today. We'll see what
No,
Draghi says. Obviously, that's going to be coming out in a few minutes, so that'll be a mover there too. We'll leave you guys there. Have a great day. Get ready for the unemployment numbers tomorrow, and we'll be back to cover it with you tomorrow.